You know, taking the spot from AHQ with a win over them, or H2K, I would have been like, okay, maybe that seems like
they're gonna boot out EDG.
Yeah, exactly, they're gonna beat EDG on day one and turn this group upside down. Now, obviously, one game in the bank. Now we get to see how much of it was, you know, exactly outplaying EDG and how much of it was EDG perhaps being a little off their game. INTZ need to prove it here against H2K.
We also have to see how is H2K going to be able to improve from some of their errors yesterday.
Yeah.
You know, we can't forget they won the early game pretty heavily, but it has been their mid game which has really plagued them. They look indecisive. They're not sure what to do, how to extend leads, and a lot of that also came down to a lack of proper vision. Them getting caught out by AHQ, and we'll see if that problem does show its ugly head here again against INTZ.
Yeah, and INTZ, of course, if you look back at their last game against EDG, it was methodical, it was powerful. This is not sort of a shock level 1 where someone immediately gets 6 kills and then everything's just a nightmare. This was INTZ taking EDG completely by surprise and capitalizing. See whether they can do it again. And it has a lot to do with this top lane jungle matchup that we have been harping on about. And
I really want to see what Jankos can do against Revolta, because Jankos in Europe, we call him the First Blood King. Yesterday, he didn't get it for H2K, wasn't even involved. It was the top side of the map that gave away that First Blood. So honestly, that is where our eyes have to be focused somewhat. But mid lane, you can never take your eyes off Ryu as well.
Yeah, Ryu showed that he's Cassiopeia incredibly dominant as he's trading with Tokkers now as well. See how this goes.
Yeah, Yang definitely playing a very different style of champion than he was yesterday, and so is Revolta. Yeah. I mean, Yang was on a champion where you can get that lane dominance and really kind of split push it out, and Rumble is much more about that team fight focus. It's not that you can't win lane hard, it's not that you can't have gank assist, but it is more of a team fight focus, and INTZ are going to have to show that they're capable of playing multiple different styles here.
Oh, you can see a nice sidestep there from Forgiven on the bottom side of the map as they're already shoving INTZ underneath this turret. Cute little Mystic shot. Let's see whether they are going to be able to weather the storm down here on the side of INTZ.
And this was the one lane that didn't go so well for INTZ in yesterday's game. You know, they were heavily punished in the bottom lane, losing 2 versus 2 trades. It went 2 for 1. And what should really have been almost a game-winning play in a 2v2 setup, we never see it anymore. But INTZ, you know, they bounced back, brought Revolta down to that lane, and actually capitalized on it very, very well in the following play.
They certainly did, and Ryu pushed up very far here against Tokkers, and I don't think they can even go for the skank with Tokkers that low on HP.
Yeah, and Jankos now considering that First Blood opportunity up here as Yang is pushed up very, very far. High health bar. Can he actually get this one done? Of course, there's a heck of a lot of speed off, but in he goes. There's the flash from Odawane. Needs another Mark of the Storm and finds it onto Yang. The flash has already been used, but he gets it safely under the turret. They have to go back.
Revolta at least getting something from this is going to be stealing away that red buff. Could look bot side as well, because H2K's bot lane is pushed up and could be vulnerable. We'll see if they're going to play around this.
Ryu kind of suspects something. He drops down into the bottom side jungle, drops a ward, but it's not going to spot Revolta as Revolta is heading away from it. Now they're going to meet. That ward should be able to, you know, give them the information, but Revolta's found Jankos anyway.
Yeah, he has. Not gonna poke his head too far in. Actually decided to not take the crystal as well. I do like that sort of mind games you can have. You always want to grab it, because that's 10 gold. I mean, that could be the difference. But decides to leave it there. Now going to head back into his jungle as well. Looks like first blue to go over to Tokkers at the same time. So an Orianna always happy to have more mana, especially in this laning situation where he's already down 13 CS.
I must admit, Atlas, perhaps you, more than the two of us, might be the more expert on the Skarner. We haven't seen it too much in Europe, all that much.
I used to play a lot
from
of
time
Skarner.
to time. We did see it, of course, throughout their playoffs, but certainly didn't have the impact on its own that we were expecting. Did very well with its lanes winning, just kind of went around the map. So we'll see whether Jankos has a bit more impact than some of the LPL junglers had with it when you look at it in a vacuum chamber.
In fact, the first time we saw it this season was Clearlove playing it in a series against OMG, the team that was actually last in that group.
Oh, Revolta.
There go. Best in goes Revolta. Nice Inspire from Vander, gets himself the shield. Doesn't get the tether, but yeah, Rek'Sai takes a lot of damage.
Yeah, a bit of a forced gank there as unless Jockster can land a bubble or something, it's probably not going to work out. But Talkers really is struggling so heavily. Ryu has a bit of a freeze here on the mid lane. Talkers just wants to get it shoved in, but Ryu refusing to let him do so. And 39 CS to 21 is a big problem in the mid lane.
Massive problem with a massive CS difference, however. Talkers has to be careful because it's more about territory. He's got the ward down to stop Jankos getting into the lane easily here, but he's already there.
Revolta looking for the counter gank here. Nice miasma goes down. Talkers wasn't going to flash, so everything's going to be fine for the moment.
Bot lane.
Jockster, though,
Ooh,
he's
Jockster.
been stunned up. The Ignite's going to go down. Nice heal. The flash, the counter flash. Macau is going to be fine underneath this turret. INTZ hanging on by the skin of their teeth.
They're hanging on, but the gold lead is opening up. 500 just off farm. Almost 6 minutes into the game is very problematic. These guys need to stem the bleeding. They need to hang on and start just doing better in these lanes. I mean, mid lane is really getting out of hand.
From this point, it's got to be Revolta that's assisting here because straight up, it doesn't look like INTZ are able to hold against H2K. You know, Forgiven is known for his dominant laning phase, his oppressive laning phase, where he just wants to take you on 2 versus 2 time and time again, and he's getting this time bubble.
Yeah, Aqua Prison is going to go down. Macau trying to get the follow-up damage, but Vanda needs to be respected as well. Jockster is one Peacemaker away from death. INTZ will probably have to go back here.
It's a tough situation because they obviously are really at risk of dying and getting dosed, so they're going to have to back off. That means they're going to sacrifice even more CS. They're going to give Forgiven a fantastic base here, who will be able to fully shove in the wave and now have a really strong buy here on Caitlyn.
Exactly. Macau's only level 4 still because of having to back away from all of that experience, so we'll see whether he can recoup some of that getting back into the lane. So Forgiven historically has been a Caitlyn player for a fair amount of time, and Forgiven's also a player that sometimes gets a little stuck in his ways on a few things. He's one of the last proponents of the Q-Max on Caitlyn, which we do still see from time to time, all about shoving out, get that lane presence when it comes to the minion wave being under the enemy's tower.
Damage stress.
But I've spoken to you know, a lot of AD carries like Reckless over in Europe who he kind of was a proponent of Trap Max for a very long time recently.
People are.
Because the thing is, you get to like level 9, you have so many traps around the lane, and you just hold one that it's impossible for the enemy AD carry and support to push forward. And as soon as you do, you hit them with some crowd control, you know, combo it with that last remaining trap, and you're just able to take full control of the area in the lane rather than just have straight up more damage and push.
Yeah, I feel like Trap Max is for the team players, and Q Max is for people that just want to kill their opponents.
It's very much a stylistic difference, right? He loves to be lane dominant. Ryu, one of the most lane aggressive players, always shoving in his opponents. Forgiven likes to do the same thing, and this allows Jankos to play more aggressively. So it really speaks to the style of the team. Early dominant lanes, aggressive first blood, famous jungler, and a lot of that is all tying together. So I think for a player like Forgiven, for a team like H2K, it makes a lot of sense.
It does make a lot of sense, but for H2K, when we're talking about style of the team, unfortunately yesterday in their game, they looked a lot more like the spring split end of the regular season H2K, where there was miscommunication, a lack of direction when it came to where they wanted to go across the map. You saw Deficio talking about no kills in like a 13-minute period throughout the entirety of the mid game. They were just trying to force Baron again and again, and it's a problem we've seen previously from H2K that we thought they got over, but seemed to have been in that funk yesterday with it.
They actually lost control of their jungle as well. The buff was stolen away by Revolta. Macau takes a large chunk of his health bar from that ultimate from Forgiven, and now getting zoned away from these creeps with those cupcakes. Aqua Prison goes out just to try and get Macau some farm. He finds a few of them, but that gap is only widening here.
Certainly is, but critically, INTZ has not given up any kills just yet. And they do have some very strong team play that we've talked about with that Rumble ultimate, with the Orianna ultimate. And they have a strong combo there. So if they can look to try to get some fights, take some objectives, they don't necessarily find themselves yet in a position where they're too far behind.
Good vision control out from H2K, spots Revolta on this bottom side as well. So no way for Revolta to get into the lane unseen as yet for INTZ. But it's a bit more of a tempered start to this game. Slower pace than we saw from yesterday's game from INTZ, and we'll see whether that actually favors them, because a lot of you know, the IWC analysts and CBLOL analysts were talking about how Brazil typically is a bit of a slower region, a little bit more macro-focused, focused on map plays rather than just skirmishing. So this might be INTZ in their element, and we just haven't seen that from only one game.
It certainly can be, but generally speaking, when we come to Worlds, these teams, whether they favor macro or not, oftentimes are just individually outclassed. They have to change their style. They have to go for aggressive plays. And after yesterday's game, INTZ may have shown that they don't actually need to play that way. And if you look across the board, a lot of these guys are doing pretty well. Yang is holding okay in the top lane, definitely down on CS, but still relevant.
Yeah, well, we'll see what they can get done. Of course, we did actually explain INTZ sort of as a little European team. They do like that heavy macro play. That was how it all sort of worked out, because they did boot camp in Europe before they came to the IWC Q tournament. Got themselves here, so we'll see whether the mid-game / late game is where they're going to be able to get things done. Because at the moment, that's a 1,000 gold lead purely from the laning phase.
Yeah, it's a good lead, but they're already pushing up the tower. Jankos coming around here as well, looking for first blood.
Well, we'll see whether he can find it. The Impale, of course, at the ready.
Yeah, Ryu did roam there as well, so there's a little bit of cost to that. Talker's going to be able to push out the lane and try to recoup some of the CS that he has lost, but it's Forgiven that's going to get the first tower of the game, uncontested. All that gold going over to him is really going to spring him forward to his first items.
And it's H2K just moving across the map saying, okay, well, we'll give some mid lane farm back over to Talkers, but we're already getting tower first blood in this game. Big lead for them. So for H2K, they didn't actually need kills from that. They just move over, get themselves a lead and go, okay, well, I guess we'll move back across the lane. And H2K have this kind of, a play that is synonymous with them. As soon as they get that, Forgiven just loves to move to the mid lane. He just says, I'm just going to sit there. It works very well with Caitlyn, with the traps
yeah, I was
as
gonna
well.
say, he's playing the champion for that. Talkers, he's going to get impaled. The ultimate's available. No, doesn't land. Talkers just launches his way out of there with the ghost.
Such a good job there by Talkers. Ryu actually flashed the Orianna ultimate, so it looked like it was going to be a kill. But Jockster there with the save keeps his mid laner alive. But as Stress pointed out, H2K loves to move this mid lane move, and they are sieging very heavily here, looking to get another turret.
It's not about getting the tower on this minion wave, but over time, this is going to get chipped down further and further. And as for AD carries that can repel this kind of push, Ezreal is not one of them. Not particularly good at actually pushing back a whole wave at a time. So Talkers should be able to do that when he gets into the lane. Ezreal will bounce back to the bottom lane for Macau so he can accrue some farm.
Yeah, thankfully Talkers has made his way back to the lane, so that Morellonomicon almost completed, but he does have some AP on his belt. And that Dissonance should help him with that wave clear. Nice from Vander, the empowered Q onto Macau, but able to weather it for the moment. Of course, support Karma not doing more and more damage as that build gets completed.
Jockster regroups in the bottom side, but you know, for as much as H2K committed to that play in the middle lane, that was the Impale used for the first time this game. Ryu committed his flash and the ult. Not getting the kill there, yes, it'll be nice if they can convert that into a subsequent kill on Talkers, having both of those summoners down. But right now, it wasn't quite enough, and great by Talkers to get himself out.
Yeah, it was a good job. You have to feel like INTZ needs to start looking for plays, though. They are steadily falling more and more behind. They either need to keep this more even, be able to stop falling behind in these lanes, or they need to look for some aggressive plays. They need to kind of make a call and be decisive about it. They can, for now, stick to the wave clear, and clearly that has been the game plan. As even Yang on the Rumble has been dropping ultimate after ultimate just to clear waves, just to try to deny turret damage here on the top side and to really just stay relevant in the farm game.
Yeah, and I do want to throw a shout out here to Talkers. He has closed that gap just a little bit in the mid lane, now down to about 19, so is at least still able to hang around. Jankos looking for some blood here in the jungle. Revolta is hanging around. Jockster's down here as well as Macau is in so much danger. I mean, he doesn't have a turret anymore. Everywhere feels dangerous on this bottom side of the map.
Certainly does, but this is actually pretty crazy. The previous longest first blood at Worlds was 5:27 into the game.
Oh
so
my God.
We're 14 minutes in. Not many kills have been coming through. Obviously, no kills just yet. When those fights do start to actually happen, they can be very explosive. When you get more and more items, you have these people powering up, and it tends to be very big.
nearly had one on Tuckers. Azel nearly had that first blood, but he got himself out. I echo your sentiments to Atlas about giving him a bit of a shout out yesterday. Didn't get a whole lot of love for his performance, but he was instrumental in setting Yang up in that first roam. He made up to the top side. You know, one of the things that a lot of the analysts have talked about is those early ghost plays out from some of the European mid laners. Tucker seemed to have picked that up himself. Headed top side, got Yang ahead. Hasn't been able to in this game, but certainly as somebody that seemingly a lot of people are sleeping on, this game, maybe not so great. Ryu's up in CS fairly heavily.
Oh, we scale in Stress.
Yeah.
We scaling. Oriana still will be able to get things done if he gets the farm. Trying to get what he can. Still, you know, 20 CS behind. Just play it for the late game, boys.
Yeah, and they do definitely have a pretty strong late game here. Revolta has been very heavily farming as well. He picked up that Tiamat early on the Rek'Sai and really has kept himself ahead of his opponent as far as that goes, but Dragon gonna go away of H2K uncontested.
Yeah, just for free there for H2K.
And this makes me a happy man. Yesterday, H2K just backed away from Dragon, gave all of the early ones over to AHQ. And from there, they kind of fell behind, but now maybe looking to fight. They pick up the first straight. We'll see where they can build off from that. H2K with a bit of a turnaround from yesterday's performance.
INTZ actually looking like they do want to answer this aggressive movement from H2K in their jungle. Can't quite find any of the skill shots here, but still able to lock down their own Crystal Spire. H2K do back away. You can see Yang up towards the top side, having a very quiet early start to this game, is behind quite a considerable margin now against Odoamne. Has overheated. Odoamne taking a lot of damage, but not going to find too much more. Yang just asserting some dominance.
It'll be interesting to see if INTZ is actually going to go for a fight around some of their item completions, because if not, H2K's game plan is pretty clear. They want a siege, they have the Caitlyn, the Karma, and they have a lot of zone control you know, with picks like the Kennen, so they definitely can aggressively siege onto these turrets. And mid lane turret, down below half HP, is looking like it's going to be the next target here for H2K, unless INTZ can do something about it.
Likely will be. Here's the preemptive ultimate, comes out from the Caitlyn. Unfortunately, not so great against the champion that has a shield for themselves.
Good move.
Kind of just eat that up, and Oriana may not be the safest of wave clears when you look at mid lane, not quite comparable to a Victor, but if nobody's pressuring you away from the wave, one Q, one e, a W and an E, and the wave is gone. That is basically everything. The pressure has been released, and without a full commit from H2K, it's going to be difficult to take down that tower. That would be Jankos, you know, having to go back in behind the tower, looking for it, a very aggressive play, which H2K are only known to do if they absolutely are guaranteed a success in their minds.
Well, INTZ actually able to get some form of control here in the mid lane, shove that wave out. They're buying a back here for Tockers, who wants to complete that Morellonomicon. 20 CS, still the gap, but that gap is only widening for Forgiven. 50 it is approaching here at 17.5 minutes.
Yeah, that is becoming very problematic. And one of the other big problems here is actually that Macau and Talkers have been both sat mid lane for so much of the time that they're actually kind of splitting farm in a lot of these cases. And now it's Talkers moving over to that side lane, which is going to leave that mid lane turret pretty exposed, because he is a lot of their wave clear, and the Ezreal alone may not be enough to actually keep this clear. So Talkers will have to move right back to mid, and they'll just be in that position where they're sharing farm again.
And this is something H2K will actually be familiar playing against. Believe it or not, this is something Fnatic did a lot in the early 2016 season. They were bringing Reckless mid on Ezreal, trying to wave clear, and H2K, Impale!
The flash Impale under Joxer, he flashes onto the miasma, first blood comes out! Ryu grabs that one, and it's 18 minutes in! And we've got 1 kill. For context, ladies and gentlemen, INTZ had 9 kills at this stage last time around.
Oh dear, at that point it was just Jankos finding Jugster in the, in his own jungle, I suppose, at that point for Jugster. Jankos just put the vision down, they managed to get the first kill. Easy conversion into a #1 up in that kill score.
At least it is just a support, but H2K moving up to the top side, and Yang is going to be completely zoned off here. A lot of damage going in on this turret, and H2K finally doing a good job to start extending this gold lead.
Yeah, Revolta down here with his 80 carry in mid laner, seeing if they can get something done, but I mean, that is a Runan's Hurricane on Forgiven, and he can clear out a wave like anyone else.
He can. Clears that out real quick, stacks up that headshot quickly as well. You just kind of push the wave back away. Ryu gets tagged.
Here comes Revolta. Yeah, gets the knock up onto Ryu there as well. Flashes out of the way. Good tidal wave, but flashes it. God tier plays as Jankos picks up the second kill. It's 3 now on the board for H2K.
Massive play there from Odoamne, just absolutely destroying them, but more fights breaking out in the mid lane.
Yeah, Forgiven lands the Peacemaker, just the tip onto Tokkers. Macau continuing to push forward, but this is all of a sudden exploded.
Basically 1 versus 2 for Forgiven in that situation. Gets the net, lands the damage. At this point, Macau doesn't really have enough to trade. Jankos still in INTZ's jungle. Here comes Macau.
Yeah, looking to try and take this one down. The Skarner slowed. There's another Harpoon. He's looking to dodge, but Macau gets it with the auto. Ryu almost soloed out by Tokkers. Uses the last of his mana, and Forgiven should be able to take down the turret. Was that a bait stress? Is that how that one's supposed to work? All of your mana now used, trying to take down the mid laner, and then we're going to be able to get your mid lane turret.
The problem is there was just enough for Tokkers to take out the couple of minions. I don't know whether European mind games are quite that next level, Atlas.
Oh, no, I was talking about yours. Giving you a lot of credit.
Well, we'll give a lot of credit over here to Odoamne for that play. Right onto Jugster and Revolta. Jankos picks up the second kill from that. Not a whole lot to write home about. In mid lane, we're still seeing the siege.
Yeah, Forgiven dodges out of the way of the Aqua Prison. There's another couple of auto attacks in that turret, but Fortification will make it about 3, and Forgiven doesn't want to be tanking this one up. They end up moving in here as well, and that will be outer ring threatened. Top lane has taken a fair bit of damage as well, and H2K just slow and steady taking this one over. It's 4,000 gold now at 20 minutes. Of course, not a massive one. Still, INTZ feeling the pressure from every angle.
It's not out of reach, but it really is just tough. You need to have the Ezreal getting farm. He needs to be scaling up. He's falling further and further behind, and you can see the H2K is just doing a better job splitting up their farm. Ryu's on the bot side now picking up waves, and they're doing a better job of just lane assignments here, spreading their players out, getting a lot more farm than INTZ is at this point.
The thing is, H2K, they're getting, a lot of farmers you're talking about, they're getting some vision control, but it's enough so that INTZ can't get any control for themselves over the river, over the enemy jungle. Forgiven's going to have to back away from the Mountain Dragon here.
Yeah, a lot of damage actually down onto the Caitlyn. Half health now as Revolta's going to take away the Crystal Spy. INTZ do not want to see 2 Mountain Drakes.
Careful of the TP flank, though. Odoamne has a lot of wards to TP into if INTZ commit to this. Looks like H2K are going to back away, though. They're behind the Dragon Pit.
Yeah, INTZ wants this as Yang has actually just walked down, and H2K seems pretty happy to just give it up.
It's mid tower. That's what they're looking to go for. They're pinging on it already. They're trying to get Forgiven in place just to hit it. Jankos wants to go himself. He gets it.
Just tanks up the turret. Well, Crystalline Exoskeleton able to shield him for the moment. Gets out of the way of that turret. That's one way to do it, as Odoamne gets a top lane outer turret as well. So 2 turrets for a Dragon. I'll take that trade.
Overall, H2K will take that trade anyway, because this now unlocks the jungle of INTZ. What were previously shallow wards out from H2K around the entrances to the jungle will now turn into deeper wards. And this is going to really prevent...
that?
Did he get
that? Was a scuttle
He
steal.
stole it.
10 out of 10. Macau getting the game back for INTZ.
It's a moral victory.
There it is.
Nice little snipe there by Macau, but this is now the stage where we have to see H2K improve on their previous performances from yesterday. They had a good lead yesterday, and then this is where they really started to kind of stall it out. They weren't sure exactly how to win the game. They kept moving back and back to Baron. I'd like to see them extend that vision, get control over the pit, and start to be able to extend this lead further and further, because if they do play it slowly, if they do just default to that, oh, well, I guess we got to go to Baron, there's a massive amount of AoE damage that comes out from INTZ's composition, and they could challenge them in a fight where H2K gets pumped up.
One thing I really do like about the Skarner pick here as well, considering that...
Oh, here goes Jankos.
Oh, he's all the way in there. Tokker's going to be pulled into his death as Ryu locks down another one.
That
So
miasma
scary.
combo was so good with the Skarner ulti. He pulls him into it, so even when you come out, you can't actually flash away. There's almost no escaping that unless you do have that QSS.
Oh, he's going to find Revolta here as well. Twin Fans aiding in to the Rek'Sai, of course, does have to tunnel.
Oh, Yang in the bottom lane.
Odoamne looking for the solo kill. Yang gets... Oh, with a flash, gets him out of there. I thought the stun might be enough, but no. Yang survives.
Just holds his flash for long enough, but as you're saying, that combination with the grounded Azael is so punishing. I was looking at it thinking, oh, well, Tokkers hasn't got a QSS yet. He's not able to get out of that ult, but that's exactly the reason. Even if he had one, getting that flash away just wouldn't really have been too possible, and he was dead as it was. So Tokkers really doesn't have too many options when it comes to this middle lane play.
No, it's really tough when you're already behind. You need to be building enough damage to be relevant, right? So even if he did go for that QSS at this point, it's going to delay his Rhymelise quite a lot. And past that, it'll delay his Void Staff. So he needs to be building damage for them to have a chance in these team fights, but it's kind of a no-win situation.
Yeah, and Orianna has always been that 3-item carry as well. I mean, you don't necessarily do all that much on 1.5, and it's unfortunately where he's at right now, going for that Rhymelise. Yang looking to shove out this bottom wave. Odoamne waiting for him to turn up. Protobelt there. Abyssal Scepter as well. Almost has his Void Staff.
He's going to look for the soul kill. He knows. No.
Oh,
Wow.
Queued the first minion accidentally. I don't know whether he was looking for the minion or just didn't quite hit Yang with it, but at that point, didn't want to follow up.
Yeah, I thought with just Yang having no flash, he might have actually tried to go for that, but is going to play it safe and probably very smart with H2K extending that vision. No reason to take that risky play. And with H2K having Cassiopeia and that Mountain Dragon, they are going to be able to take down Baron quite quickly.
Is that a warrior enchantment on Yankos?
Yeah.
Interesting.
It is. He just wants more damage, and H2K have got a lot of damage, but speaking of the lack thereof, Revolta gets himself out. I've been pinged by our stats guys that Vander is out-damaging Macau and has been for the whole game. I mean, yes, Karma, Poke Champion, does have the damage, but certainly compare that to the Israel game we just saw from Uzi from the damage that came out. A little bit of a worlds of difference, if you will. But we'll see whether Talkers can get more damage out of the mid lane at the same time, but building that Giant's Belt, you mentioned it, Rhymelise. Historically not an item we see out of Orianna. Typically doesn't really struggle with crowd control after Dissonance and Shockwave come through, but certainly needs the extra health because he is struggling against this Skarner.
Yeah, and it is seeming to be that new popular build. We saw Bjergsen building it yesterday in their loss, and people are just really loving the Rhymelise slow, but Macau making it caught here.
He closed the gap. Macau's going to be pulled in and destroyed. Ryu sets up the Masma one more time, and this just looks like they can do it over and over again.
Rinse and repeat. Yankos is showing off the strength of the Skarner pick, and it looks like finally they will move to Baron.
Well, Ryu, of course, can take this one down very, very quickly. They're actually deciding to bait it for the moment. Cute little Prey Seeker from Revolta starts it up for Yankos, but he says, well, I'll take this fight. As Jockster's going to poke his head around as well. Talkers trying to clear vision. Good dissonance damage onto Forgiven, who nets himself out of the way. Talkers takes a lot of damage. Odoamne flashes in. There's the Protobelt. Talkers is going to be taken down. Odoamne gets that kill. It's all they can find for the moment after the Ezreal, but Jockster's out of position. Aqua Prison's not going to be enough, and it's a double for the cannon.
Odoamne setting it up, saving the flash, not going for that greedy solo kill, and he gets up such a great DP, takes down 2, and they move right to the Baron. They're on it, and it's going to be hard for INTZ to do anything about this. Revolta may have to try to go for a hero play.
Can have the hero they need. Equalizer goes down. Will deter H2K for the moment. Fair bit of damage from the true shot barrage. He gets in a little bit too early. There's 900. Oh my goodness. Yankos picks that one up. Revolta flashes out. So thankfully he doesn't sacrifice his life, but that was too close.
He went early. H2K held the damage. 100 damage roughly was what was the difference between a Steel Ever. Talkers got engaged upon initially.
Yeah, just look at this TP coming in from Odoamne. He has the Protobelt. He has the flash into 3 of them. Amazing amounts of damage coming out. And although Revolta escapes, Jockster was not so lucky.
Cornered by a Scorpion and a Yordle at this point. Odoamne boxes him in. Nothing really of any note to go to on that kind of play. But H2K, this is a very different setup from yesterday. They have very focused play. It's Yankos goes in with Ryu, they get the kill. Oh, we take an objective or take the rest of the fight. So H2K, very, very different setup.
Yeah, they're looking a lot better than yesterday. Very clean play here from H2K and looking to extend that lead. We have Odoamne pushing in the bot lane. Ryu already sieging here in the mid lane, and Forgiven has hit that critical 3-item power spike for Caitlyn, where he's going to be a monster in these fights.
And this time around, H2K have a clear plan. They know exactly what they can do. Talkers just gets dove. Odoamne asserting his dominance as Jockster. He's going to get stunned up by the Fracture. Exploded after the Impale. An afterthought equalizer comes in. Might do some damage. No, not even to the minion wave.
That is so bad. They lost the Rumble ulti. Talkers goes down. This is going to be at least 1 inhib. Could be 2. Could potentially even be more than that.
I don't think there was too much that INTZ could have done to hold this, even if they had had that ultimate, maybe pushed Odo Amne back, but they've got the Baron buff. Ryu's pushing mid at the same time. There's nothing that INTZ can do.
Yeah, Jankos going to help take that one down. Second inhibitor to fall, and H2K in control for this entire game. It's a 12,000 gold lead for the European team. Could this be victory for Europe?
And it's all been about just the aggressive plays H2K have been making today. Odo Amne goes forward, doesn't matter, the shockwave hits, the slicing maelstrom is already in, and then Jankos has one thing on his mind, and it's dragging Jugster back into Forgiven for that finish off with that last shot, and H2K from there push 2 inhibs.
Sushi for dinner, Jockster 0-4-0. It's
I was wondering about the battle between a scorpion and a fish, and we discovered that. Scorpions, pretty powerful things.
Revolta now going for the bush camp.
What is this? Ryu possibly caught out. There's the shockwave going to grab the Cassiopeia as Jankos right in the backline. Petrifying gaze is going to lock down Jockster. Good tidal wave for the double knockup as Jankos is going to take down Token. The double. My God, in goes Odo Amne. Perfect timing on the cannon, and H2K look to do no wrong this time around. Jankos is launching his way in. They've got super minions on Nexus turrets. They're looking to finish this one off.
Just an absolute bloodbath as Odo Amne cleans up, and H2K will claim their first win.
Revolta as well. I mean, he can't do anything. Yang sitting near his fountain. The Nexus is going to fall down. H2K pick up the first win for Europe, and they do so decisively.
A sigh of relief you can see from H2K, but very controlled overall. Didn't really seem at any point